Clear! The crash team shocked the patient and moved away from the bed. Staff nurse Lexi Grainger stepped forward and started CPR straight away, increasing the chances of the defibrillation technique working. But it was hard going. Soon her arms started aching and she was panting with the exertion. Another member of staff would soon take over and continue the rotation process, but she had to keep up the rhythm until then. An elderly man brought into A&E a couple of hours before with bruises, lacerations, and a periorbital hematoma from being catapulted over the handlebars of his bicycle was fighting for his life. He hadn't seen the debris that was scattered across the road after the high winds the previous night and ended up in resus. One minute he was chatting happily to Lexi as she gently wiped the blood off his face. The next she was shouting for the medical emergency team. He had an IV inserted, had been intubated, and was receiving oxygen, but his heart was stubbornly refusing to start again. That was A&E. You never knew what was going to happen next. Right, we'll shock him again. Lexi kept up the chest compressions until given the word by the doctor. While she worked, she thought over the chain of survival, the sequence of steps that maximized the patient's chance of living. The first was recognizing the cardiac arrest and starting resuscitation immediately. Tick. The second was prompt initiation of CPR. Tick. The third was performing defibrillation as soon as possible. Tick. The fourth was post-resuscitation care. That would be provided as soon as they could bring him back. Clear! They all stepped away while the patient was shocked again, his body jerking with the current passing through it. Okay, continue, said the team leader. And Lexi was just about to start compressions again when someone beat her to it. Large male hands had already started pumping the patient's chest, and Lexi felt intense relief. Someone had taken over and she could have a rest. Something about those hands looked familiar. Short, perfectly manicured nails, strong fingers with black hairs near the knuckles. Her heart started racing again, for a completely different reason. Her gaze moved upwards to the man's face. He had his head bent over the patient's chest and she couldn't see him properly. But she didn't need to. She knew who he was. The shock must have shown on her face as the team leader chuckled and said, "This is Dr. Casey O'Connor, our new trauma consultant. He's joining us from a large teaching hospital in London and we're lucky to have him.